Hi everyone, it's Maddie Brady. We're here to get real about mental health. Stay tuned for some great conversations with some very special guests. Hi everyone, welcome to Get Real. We are here with Todd and Fisher, and they're only 21 years old and both already started a business together amongst quite a few other things that we're going to discuss today. It also is our 20th episode that we're filming, so that's super exciting as well. Our cinematographer here, Nick, mentioned that only 1% of podcasts make it to episode 20, so wouldn't want to do it with anyone else but some other entrepreneurs.
Thank you so much for having us.
Of course.
Awesome.
Of course. So I would love to start out about like how you guys met and formulated a friendship, and then how you decided let's go into business together.
Yeah, I can probably start off with this one. This is, I probably have a unique perspective he might not be able to give. So I grew up in Riverton, New Jersey, right over the Tacony Bridge from Philadelphia, and I bounced around schools a little bit, ended up going to Ocean City High School my junior year.
Okay.
Didn't know anybody coming in, didn't know any friends, but eventually I was introduced to Todd through the soccer team. That's how I ended up meeting most of my friends there. And something about this kid stuck out to me. Like, this kid has a presence. Like, when he walks in, like, you notice. So so what we did, our first project that we worked on was a YouTube channel. He'd always mentioned that he wanted to start a YouTube channel. I got him to end up going for it. He went for it. We called it Todd Boy Inc. And then we made the videos. We had a great time. It's probably our best memories from high school. And we ended up selling some merchandise. We sold hoodies and did pretty well. And that's where all the entrepreneur stuff ended up stemming out of.
Okay. So how did you decide to make a YouTube channel amongst... I feel like being from a small town, there isn't much encouragement to do things out of the norm. At least I know you guys are several years behind me, but when I was there, it was not really a thing to branch out or do anything different.
Yeah, I think that's actually just a part of my whole testimony is I've always wanted to be different. I've always wanted to, get up and get moving and do something that people aren't doing. Mm-hmm. For the YouTube channel, it's definitely something, just from YouTube's gotten so big over the last 10 years. It's like, if you ask a kid right now, what do you want to be when you grow up? They say a YouTuber. Yeah. And not that I want to be that anymore, but when I was, in high school, it was like, oh man, I always wanted to do that. And we just made it happen. And this guy, like, he takes action. Like, it's not, oh yeah, let's start that, next month and we'll do this and it's all talk. Mm-hmm. Like, no, this guy walks the walk. And, sometimes I have like some crazy ideas. I'm like, I won't do that. But then he kind of helps me follow through on it. So it's a nice combo.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Where do you think that comes from, that you just want to start going and doing things?
Family has always been my biggest proponent. It's always been, all right, let's go play basketball, let's go play soccer, or volleyball on the beach. All right, we're doing this today, we're going on this trip. I've always just been in an environment that encourages trying new things and just going after it and going for it. Just to give a little insight into that, I transferred schools my junior year for college, and the biggest thing my dad always told me is go for it. If you feel it in your heart that you need to do it, go for it. Mm-hmm. So that's just something I live by, is going for it.
I have a little bit of a different situation. So I'm the oldest of 9 children.
Oh, wow.
Grew up that way. So like, there's always been a ton of kids in the house. There's always been, my parents are kind of always busy. And it's like, you got to kind of make, fun for yourself sometimes. Yeah. You gotta go for it for yourself. And also set an example for your younger siblings in a sense. There's definitely some responsibility that comes with that. So very early on, like when I was 15, I believe, I moved out of my parents' house to move with my grandparents, and kind of since then I've been doing things like this to try to get ahead.
That's great. Yeah, I feel like sometimes it's really hard to trust your gut, especially I feel like there's things that you're supposed to do or are on paper the right way to do things, and then if you have this feeling that, I want to do this or I want to do something a little bit different, sometimes it's hard to trust that instinctual feeling that's telling you to go for it. So that's great that you had your parents' encouragement and the will to be a good example for your siblings and all of that. Absolutely. That's awesome. And then, so what stuck out to me, why I even contacted you guys, was your business. Well, first of all, can you explain a little bit about your business? And then also, so I saw you guys had a cross in your logo, and I never ever see anything like that at all. I work a job where I'm looking at different businesses all day long, and I've never noticed that any religious emblem or anything like that in a business logo. So it definitely stuck out to me that I feel like you guys are certainly know who you are and stay true to yourselves and decide it like this is part of us, so we're putting it in our business even though it might be a little bit controversial.
Yeah, absolutely. So Todd can speak on this, but I know I can speak for myself when I can say I believe my ultimate purpose in life and being on this earth is to glorify the name of Jesus Christ. Like nothing more, nothing less. So we kind of look at this as our foundation. Our business in itself is pretty undefined. We're like creative real estate. Do a little bit of just about everything. So in a sense, we wanted to ground this in Jesus as much as possible, so that moving forward, it could grow. And then so like the east to west, it's kind of double meaning. You could kind of see the ties to real estate potentially. Just we'd like to have assets from the east coast to the west coast. But it ties specifically to the Psalm 103:12, which describes that the Lord has separated our sins as far as the east is from the west. And the way I kind of look at that is like, so east and west are like infinite directions in a sense. You can go east forever, but you'll never be going west. If you like look at the globe, and same thing the other way. But if you go north, eventually you'll hit the North Pole and you'll start going south again. So in that sense, the east to west chosen because it's infinite in its growth. And
That's really neat.
We're not. I mean, I'm a Christian. Certainly have a lot of things I've regretted in my life. So that's a very important verse to me. Definitely was nice to be able to incorporate that into the brand.
For sure.
Yeah, just to go off of that a little bit, there's a Bible verse, or maybe it's more of a story, but it talks about the wise man building a house on the hill. And there's another, and then, tied into that, there's a man that built his house on the beach. And the beach house gets washed away every time by the storm or the water. And if you build your house up on the hill where it's safe, a house of God, you'll be protected. So I noticed if we're building a business, let's not put it on just a business or real estate or making money. Let's put it in God, so we know we'll be protected and we're doing the right thing. And tying into that, just so we don't go down a different path, the money or greed, just putting it in God is what's really important to us. And just like you're saying, that's what everyone points out is, wow, you guys have that in there. And it's like, yeah, we do, because that's what we believe in. That's who we are. And that's what we want every guest to know when they come and stay at our houses. That's what we want our family to know. Every single person that visits the website, calls, clicks, they know that they're dealing with Christians, men of God.
That's great. And it's super respectable, because even I feel like, at least, even if you're not a Christian, that you should at least respect that you two stay true to yourself and what you're doing. So I feel like you're not only mega attracting other Christians, because of course they want to see two bright young men doing something great in business and then also keeping your faith tied in it, but I feel like other people, even from a different religion, should be able to respect the fact that you're keeping that in there. Because I think it's neat when I see other religions keeping ties to what they're doing, even if it's part of their culture, whether it be food or anything that ties into their culture or religion. I think that it's neat when people actually stay true to themselves, especially today. I think that a lot of people are really scared to speak out or say their actual opinions on things. And it's like the cancel culture has gotten really out of control, where now it's almost expected that if you don't fit the mold of what's cool right now or trendy right now or in the media right now, that you're not going to be successful. But that's not really true, because there's a lot of other people that do believe in what you're doing and saying, that just aren't talking about it as much as other people are.
I feel like the hate is always louder, It
Yeah.
comes off way louder than the people that have good things to say.
Yeah.
Did you want to comment?
Yeah, I think something that's like might be kind of interesting to note that like we've gotten criticism about like, how are you gonna be so Christian oriented and still like serve or host people from other faiths, whereas we're not like pushing anything down anyone's throat. It's just that we're gonna go into it with Christian values and we're gonna be the best host possible. You're gonna get kindness from us. You're gonna get the highest levels of respect you've ever seen from a host. And then when you walk in the front door, you're gonna see our logo with the cross in it. And that's sort of where it ends. But hopefully that shines a positive light on Jesus. And, maybe that's if that can, share the light of Jesus to one more person, I think it's all worth it,
Definitely. What have you guys gotten any major criticism aside from people just saying, how's your business going to do well? Have you gotten any hate from your logo? Just because I feel like, so I've noticed at least, especially in media right now, that a lot of people mock the Christian religion and openly will make fun of it and say derogatory negative things about it, but there's no other religion in the world that's acceptable. And again, even if you're not Christian, I think that's something to take a think about. Why would it never be okay to mock the Muslim religion, the Jewish religion, any other religion across the globe commands respect, and it just would be unacceptable to do so. But now there's a big shift where people are trying to publicly make a mockery of Christianity.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know. One way that I always looked at it, and what I've been told is that Christianity is a very offensive religion in the sense that we don't look at you can't do anything yourself to get into heaven. Like the very baseline belief is that you are not good enough yourself, and you never will be, right? You need Jesus to be able to move forward, and I don't think that's like, I don't know if that doesn't, it's not necessarily obvious to a lot of people. It doesn't make a lot of sense. So it's honestly not a surprise to me that Christianity's ridiculed a lot of time. I think the truth, it can be very offensive in that sense.
Yeah, but there are other religions that I think there's a strict rule set. Definitely in the Muslim religion, Jewish religion, there's a lot of stringent rules that you have to follow, but it's still somehow unacceptable to make any sort of comment, as it should be with every single religion, in my opinion. But there's just no hate going to any other religions, it feels like right now, in America at least.
Yeah, I've heard that exact topic several times, and the answer I've always gotten to it, whether it was on a social media post or at one of my Bible studies, is if the devil is after something like Christianity, is that the reason why it's being defaced or talked badly or, shown in a different light? Does the devil have a say in why it's on the news differently or why people talk about it differently? That's always the answer I've gotten back from people when I hear that exact thing. I've heard that exact thing that you've said several times, and that's what it's always brought me back to, is if it's so important, if Christianity is so important, that's why there's so much hate. Like it's the most talked about out of any religion.
Definitely.
Right, so I guess like to really answer your question is I don't know why it's all right to ridicule Christianity. But yeah, and to answer your original question, fortunately at this point we haven't really gotten any crazy complaints, criticism, anything like that. It's honestly usually mostly from people close to us that just don't understand why we'd make a business decision like that.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think everything I try to do aligns with my personal values and my personal brand. So I think that it's so smart to keep who you are tied into your business. So I think that's great. Is there anything that stems off of your religion, any lessons you've learned growing up or anything like that you feel like really helped you in your business or just helped you become who you are today? I mean, I'm sure there's many, but what is one that really stands out to you?
Yeah, so it's a great question because some people come to Christ later in life, or maybe you've been a Christian your entire life. I've always defined myself as a Christian since, I could understand what that meant. But it's only been in like recent years, probably since I left high school, is when I really, started to take action, not just like say, yeah, I believe in God, but, actually opening up the Bible or journaling or talking about it right here, right now. There's more actionable steps to take place whenever you're dealing with Christianity. And to answer the question, which was just how you become more of a Christian, or
No, more so what's a lesson you've learned through Christianity that made you who you are?
It's taking action. I knew I was tying it to somehow, but it's taking action. And to be a Christian, you must take action. You must talk to others. You must actively be in the Word. And if you're dealing with business like we are, we must actively be putting that into our business and spreading the good news.
That's great. And then as far as having two male friends running a business together, how do you feel like that has helped you? Because I feel like today there is also a big push, and I've gone down this rabbit hole too, where you feel like you need to do everything alone, and it's glorified to be this solo hustler, which is great because first you have to put the oxygen mask on yourself before you can get into business with someone else or help anyone else, or really it's applicable to everything that you have to take care of yourself first. But there is this push for the solo hustler that's doing everything alone. How did you decide, let's do this together, and it might be more beneficial to have two people doing it?
So in a sense, we're definitely entrepreneurs together. We're definitely running our own business together, but we also have our own individual businesses. I've got property myself. He's getting closer to the finish line, getting his first property. But so one of the main reasons, I trust Todd with my life. There's a reason I went into business with him. And Airbnb is sort of the Wild West of real estate. It's definitely, it's headaches constantly over and over again. You're always putting out fires. Just having someone else just makes it possible, really. Just in order to scale as much as possible, you need someone else to be on your team taking care of some of these headaches. I think that was the main reason. We definitely could have done this, the same thing, just separately, but I think it was just more effective to do it together.
And then how do you feel, do you have a lot of other male friends in your life, and how do you feel like just other male friendships has positively impacted your life, having people on the same wavelength as you?
Yeah, I could probably count them on my two hands. My dad, my grandfather, Fish, a few other friends from high school and college. It's you kind of intentionally select the people that you want to be around. That's definitely something I've noticed. I've moved on from several relationships, friendships, and have kind of not picked, but the right ones that found me. And I know where I want to be each and every day. It's working with him, talking on the phone with my dad, or talking to my other friend who goes to that school. Yo, how are you doing? Or going out to lunch with this guy. Male friendships are important, but you got to make sure you're picking the right ones. That's definitely something that I had to learn throughout high school into college.
I had a little bit of a different experience. I think I mentioned earlier, moved to Ocean City my junior year, had no friends. So one thing I actually did in order to try to make friends was one summer, I guess it was going into senior year, in my notes on my app, I wrote down every date of the summer, and it was my goal to hang out with one person every day. And so I did that, and I gained a really good appreciation for loyalty, and I made a ton of friends. And it's like at this point, it's like anybody that is willing to hang out with me then when I didn't have any friends. I remember that, and I'm always gonna go back to them for that. So I think Todd makes a great point. It's especially going into business, you want to make sure you're picking the right people to go into business with. But I have a lot of respect, and I would really go out of my way for people that I wouldn't necessarily go into business with, but have been with me in some harder times.
Definitely. I think that's really important. I know for me, I had a very rocky journey getting where I am today. And I remember the people that were there day one. And I've made some really, really good friends past that because I feel like I developed a lot as a person and then can pick really good friends moving forward. But also those people that really stuck with you through it all and saw potential in you sometimes when you weren't able to see it in yourself, I think is super, super important. So that's great. And I know it's hard moving somewhere too. I feel like I was in a really good spot in Philadelphia before I moved to New York, where I had a lot of friends, I had a job I liked, like everything seemed good. And that's when I knew, I was like, this is really comfortable and good right now, but this isn't where I want to be. So I kind of had to rip the Band-Aid off and come here. And it was really hard at first, but I feel like I've met incredible people here and learned more in this past year than I've learned all the other years combined. Really throwing yourself in the deep end, I feel like, is sometimes the solution. But I thought it was neat too. You guys talked about going into business, how you're going to be able to give back. And what do you exactly plan on doing that? Where does that come from that you want to give back? And then what is your grand plan moving forward?
So I find it so important, not just in a Christian sense, but just in being a human being. I see business as one of the biggest opportunities to give back on this earth. You can create brands and videos and post things and, show what you're doing, or create a GoFundMe account like that and raise 20 grand in an hour. It's so streamlined now. And, a few people I watch, one of them is Jesse Itzler. He does so much charity work, and he's been an amazing business guy over these past 30 years. A couple other names like Devin LeVake, or even just like Tony Robbins, like motivational guys that help grow, a mindset of helping, not just for yourself, like, oh, how can I grow my business, but how can I grow my business and also help with this? Can I give 10% of my business away every year to this charity? Can I go build a church? Can I help kids in Africa who need clothes or housing? What can we do for Ukraine? There's so many things that run through my head. I don't want to just, help us, like, how can we grow this, but how can we actually impact the rest of the world? And we know we can't change the world, but can we impact 100 lives over the next 5 years? Like, is that possible to help 100 lives? It's just good to set, philanthropic goals, or just goals that make you feel more fulfilled in this life, rather than just growing a business for money, but actually growing a business for, helping people.
And that ultimately, I think, when you become successful or make it or start to get some money in, nothing feels as good as giving back. Like, I wouldn't say I've made it or anything like that yet, but once you start to be comfortable enough yourself, and there really isn't, you realize at a certain point that buying yourself something is never going to feel the same as giving something away. And having the resources to help people that are at rock bottom, or might just need one extra helping hand, or like they just need just a little bit extra help to get to where they're trying to go, or motivate them, even along with giving them financially. You can give to them motivation and tips and tricks. And I think that's really important, especially in business, for people that make it and get to the top, to go back and try to help others, especially even with people. I mean, like, Jersey Jerry came on my podcast, and like, and he said, he was like, I remember, like, when I kept putting stuff out there, and it took a really long time for him to hit, and now he's mega successful. And now he goes back, it's not just mine, he goes back and does that stuff all the time for other people. I think that's really neat, that people don't just make it to the top and then stop and forget about the people that are trying to also get there too. So that's Absolutely. Awesome. That's great. And then, do you guys have any other planned business ventures together? Do you think you'll stop at the Airbnbs, or?
The ideas are endless. Real estate's definitely like our main thing right now. 5 years from now could be completely different. 10 years from now could be completely different than it was from 5 years. So, real estate's definitely seems like the key for us at this point in time. We definitely want to keep growing that, just keep acquiring new units and renting places out. And, it seems like, it really seems like the key. In my mind right now, I'm like, I don't see anything else, but, life moves pretty fast. I'm sure we'll find something, soon enough to.
Right. Yeah. So like we bounced around a bunch of things, like we mentioned YouTube, apparel, but we are starting to set some like longer term deals in real estate now. and we're starting, but like the creativity is all over the place. Like I don't want to like give away too much what we're doing without any like deals being close to the finish line. But like just the other day we were looking at like buying and leasing out like airplanes. Like what's stopping? If I want a plane, what's stopping me from just going to get one? You know?
Yeah. That's great. That's a really good idea. Obviously, I've never thought about the airplane market myself. So you guys are certainly creative. Do you feel like, so going back to really the finances, do you feel like a lot of other guys, especially the young guys your age that are podcasting and ultra successful and all of that, I feel like they're really in the scene of going after the Rolexes and the Bugattis and all of that. Do you feel like that's something you want to get to, or do you not want anything to do with that life?
I personally have no interest. I think I mentioned this to you before. So I currently live in an unfinished basement in my house. I bought the house as my first property, rent out all the other rooms, and just found a basement that's like possible to live in. I like my diet. I spend like $5 a day on food, and that's like all my living expenses. I don't really have any interest in anything material at all. I guess. I don't know if I can speak for Todd.
Yeah, I used to definitely, like buying, a new shirt or like, oh, let me go get these new shoes. But, there's definitely been like a few books that have changed my life. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I see everything. I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but I see everything as either an asset or a liability now. And pretty much all you need to know is a liability takes money from you.
Yeah.
So if I see something as a liability, I'm like, I don't want to go anywhere near it.
Yeah.
And Fish, it's not that he has the money. He can buy. He just is like, you're not going to get me. Like, I'm not. Like, it's almost like a mental game with him. So we get kind of competitive with it too. Like, I'll see, all right, he didn't eat breakfast. Like, do I go till lunch? Like, it gets a little competitive, but no, it's a lot of fun. But
that's extreme. That's extreme for sure.
Also, like backtrack. It's like the way I look at it too. A little bit is like every dollar I don't spend on myself now that I can invest and grow is dollars I can spend on my children or even give back, like we had talked about before.
Yeah, you guys can just photosynthesize. Like, you don't need to eat.
It's overrated.
No, that's definitely something my mindset has majorly flipped on, because I first went to school for fashion. So growing up, I was always enamored by the big labels and the fashion houses in Paris and Italy and all of that. And I always thought when I got older that that's something I'd be chasing and wanting and all of that. And I felt like as soon as I was able to maybe buy one of those bags or one of whatever, that now it's something that I don't even want, because you start to realize, like I was saying, like a Rolex, like how is that enhancing your everyday life? It's really not doing anything for you, where you can, if you are doing something for yourself, you can go backpack in East Asia for the exact same price money, or give it back, or stock it away for your children, or do something actually beneficial. And at the end of the day, like, I don't know why this wasn't obvious to me, like, that's not for you, it's for someone else. It's to prove yourself to other people, and it's like, who are these people you're even trying to prove yourself to? It's all to put on a show for others. Look, I've made it. Look, I'm successful. But I feel like once you're okay with yourself and you know where you're trying to go and who you are today, that you don't need that stuff, because you don't need to prove for yourself to anybody.
Right. Yeah.
Do you feel like amongst business, you've learned any lessons? Like, what was the hardest lesson you've learned, and how did you not give up during it? Because I know, especially during entrepreneurship, it's such major highs and then low lows. How do you stay mentally healthy throughout that? And then how do you not get engulfed by those low lows?
So I think there's a couple questions in there, right? So
yeah.
like,
that was a little long-winded.
So like one of the lessons I know me and Todd talk about all the time that we learned through all of our little ventures is risk tolerance, which is huge. It's the lows can be very low. Like we were in cryptocurrency at one point when it was in a little more profitable situation, and that was stressful. But I think Todd can probably speak more on this. But something that keeps us afloat, keeps us going, make sure we're rolling is working out probably.
Mm-hmm.
The gym is huge. I'm still playing soccer. Going through some surgeries now, but we work out every day.
Yeah. One other thing I was gonna comment on just right before the working out thing is, yes, there's hard times, but choose your hard kind of. There's school's hard.
Yeah.
But I've learned more running this business with Fish by my side in like a whole year of school.
Mm-hmm.
Just from learning how to deal with people to money management to how we're gonna get this cleaned. And, making sure this person's here and we're getting this delivered today and what's going on with the roof. Like, there's so much to take away, and it's choose your hard. Like, yes, this is hard and we've learned a ton from it. So you can also go to school and that's hard. But, it's choose which one. So, I just want to keep learning and keep choosing harder things as I go about.
I think even harder would be like if you didn't do anything now, you didn't go to college, you didn't work, not an entrepreneur in any sense, and you ended up like 50 years old and broke, and you're totally stuck.
That's hard
I think that would be very hard. I think we're just front loading our work.
Yeah.
Well, even like going to work and waking up every single day and going to work for somebody else, that's hard too, and that's mentally draining as well, for sure. I just thought of when I used to race and running, my dad always used to tell me that it's going to hurt just as bad to go a little bit faster. Like, it's not that much of a difference in pain to push yourself just a little bit more, like holding yourself back a little bit and not going full throttle. It's still going to hurt. It's not going to feel good to go run a 5K at a slightly more comfortable pace. So why wouldn't you just go all out? It's going to hurt either way. Push it a little bit now and you're going to feel a million times better at the end, when exactly what you're saying, when you're 50 years old and you feel like you've aligned everything correctly, compared to just taking the easy route or just even hard but less hard and not in a direction you want to go, and then having to live with that for the rest of your life is definitely tough. Definitely tough. I know too, especially like getting in those lows can be really hard to get out of. I think you just have to remember, like, it's almost like the last man standing. It's like other people aren't doing this because they can't, and because they don't want to put themselves through this. If I can put myself through this, then at the end, it's going to be beneficial. It's going to be a lesson, profitable, whatever it might be. But I definitely think, like, I need to work out or I go crazy too. And I feel like if you don't visit your pain for an hour a day, 2 hours a day, it's going to visit you the whole day. And I just feel like without working out, it's just so hard to get yourself in line for everything else. Obviously, other people have different things. It's not working out for everybody. But I think if you have like an athletic past or have played sports, it's something that's inside of us that we have to continue, or we're not going to be in line with everything else. I mean, even people talk about the first step is making your bed. And then once that's done, you can go do everything else. And it starts with the little things, like taking care of yourself. So that's awesome.
It's a great book. Make Your Bed. Have you read that?
No, I haven't.
It's a book. Yeah.
No, I didn't know that. I've seen a guy give a speech. I'm sure it's probably the guy wrote the book. Yeah, he was like either Navy, Army, something.
Yeah.
He was all decorated. Yeah. Okay, so now I have a book I need to read.
It's like super short, like 100 pages.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I'll have to read that. Yeah. Do you guys like guys like David Goggins and...
Yes. I'll comment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Love David Goggins. That's actually what got me. I love reading. Actually, my goal for 2023 was to read a book a month. I'm still on track for that. But the first book I ever like truly like wanted to read was David Goggins. I saw this. I'm like, whoa, this is awesome. And I already was like starting to like work out and stuff. But after I read that, I was like, no days off. Like,
yeah.
And then when the second book just came out in December, I got it right away. Actually, my sister bought it for me for Christmas. And now I think my whole family has read both of them. But yeah, love those guys.
Yeah,
like,
he's
David
an
Goggins
animal.
though.
An animal. Yeah, he takes it to a different level. But I'm not gonna lie, when I'm like running and I'm dying, I'm like, who's gonna carry the boats? Like, he really does motivate people. Like, who's gonna carry the logs? And then like I don't know if it's Jocko or Joko, but
Jocko.
Jocko Wilkins.
Willink, right? Willink or something.
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce
I know
his
who you're
name,
talking about.
but yeah, I like him too.
Yeah.
But no, that's great. And I mean, if you think about it, that's where you're aligning yourselves to then give that back to the younger generation and just keep going. But do you feel like there's anything else you do day to day to keep you mentally healthy, or do you feel like you have had points where you've had to pull yourself out of those lows with any other tools?
Yeah, I think the biggest part of staying mentally healthy is, I don't want to call it a routine because every day does seem different, but if I accomplish what I needed to that day, I feel mentally ready just to like lay down at night. I feel accomplished, and I want to do the same thing tomorrow. I want to, if I'm at school, I want to get my schoolwork done. I want to go to work. I want to make sure I work on my business today. I want to work out. I want to make sure I hit these miles, and I want to read my book. Like whatever I had on the agenda, if I can get everything done, I feel great.
Yeah.
Working out obviously has its own aspect. Working on a business has its own aspect. But when I put all those together, that's when I'm just like, I feel healthy. I can rest tonight, and we'll get after it tomorrow. Did you want to comment?
Yeah, I mean, for me, the entrepreneurship itself has been like the biggest help as far as mental health. Like, soccer kind of used to do this for me. I haven't been able to play with my injuries recently. But with soccer, when you're playing a game, you kind of shut out everything else. You're just in the game for a while. So no matter what was going on outside, as far as you name whatever kind of tragedy you could possibly go through, in the sense of the entrepreneurship, you can still get up the next day and go back to working on your project that you're very passionate about. That's been huge for me.
That's awesome. Do you have any closing words or advice for any of the viewers here?
Just keep swimming. If you're working on a business, if you're just starting to work out, I'm not saying we have it all figured out, but I've noticed something in being consistent. When you're consistent, it turns into positive outcomes.
Our saying for Todd Boyank was always call it what you want. Don't sweat the small things. Just keep figuring it out. Let people think what they want and just move forward.
Definitely. I feel like it's consistency and discipline, and you're going the right direction. So thank you guys for coming on and being on our 20th episode of Get Real.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Sure. Thanks for tuning in and getting real with us. Podcasts will be posted every other Wednesday on Spotify and YouTube. Please reach out via DM if you want to chat.